welcome to today's podcast. My name is Ayesha and I'm here with
Rosie. I'm Rosie.
We're gonna be talking about and delving into two movies we watched this week. You could call this a review, I guess. If you plan on watching any of these movies and don't want spoilers, you might want to click off now. So we are going to chat about the movies Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile, and also Now You See Me Too. So let's get into it.
Do you remember the night we met?
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have been witness to the unspeakable horrors of the defendant's heinous crimes.
The killings were extremely wicked, shockingly evil, vile.
Did you do these things, Ted?
This is all gonna end.
It's only gonna end with the truth.
Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile. This movie is a chronicle of the crimes of Ted Bundy, played by Zac Efron, from the perspective of his longtime girlfriend, Liz Kendall, played by Lily Collins, who for a very long time refused to believe the truth about him. In the UK, the movie has an age restriction of 15 for disturbing and violent content, alongside some sexuality, nudity and language. In my opinion, with the crimes Ted Bundy committed, this movie wouldn't have been able to be more, tame or family friendly.
Yeah, I think it should have been an 18. Not gonna
Really?
lie. Yeah. I think there are some 15-year-olds that would have found it pretty that harrowing. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I really liked it, but I like crime stuff, so
Yeah.
it's different.
So as a bit of a background, Theodore Robert Bundy was an American serial killer who raped and kidnapped and murdered many girls and young women during the 70s. The youngest confessed and identified victims were Lynette Culver and Kimberly Leach. They were 12.
That's awful.
Yeah.
And I really like the film, but because it's Zac Efron, and you've always grown up watching Zac Efron,
Yeah.
High School Musical, Baywatch, things like that. And now it's no, he's such an evil character, and it just puts
I think
me off
that's
a
the
bit.
point.
Yeah, Bundy was attractive and good looking, and everyone liked him, so it's
Yeah.
supposed to be a bit like that, I think. And he looks like him, which is weird.
Yeah, I saw a picture of him. It was
him.
yeah, especially when he has the beard and stuff.
Mhm.
That was really oh.
Yeah.
So Ted Bundy denied all allegations for years before finally confessing 30 homicides in 1989. Some estimations have been made in triple digits. It's in the hundreds.
I reckon he killed more,
Yeah.
and he forgot because he was a psychopath.
Yeah.
I can't remember all of them. Oof.
Bundy died in the electric chair at 7:16 a.m. EST on January 24th, 1989. This was 14 years after his initial arrest. 14.
That is a long time to wait. I think in instances like that, like mass murder and anything to do with children, they should be killed.
Yeah.
I really think they should.
He was 42 when he committed these crimes. People have said that he started killing and raping girls way before the first crime he confessed to. So late teenage, 20s, stuff like that.
It's weird that no one picked up on the signs, because you always think there's going to be oh, he's a psychopath. I'd obviously know, but
Yeah.
not really.
So what did you think about the movie and how it portrayed his story?
Really well. It
Yeah.
was really. I'd read up on it and knew about it beforehand, and it was all correct, and it obviously condensed it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But the key bits, it obviously showed him escaping from the courthouse, and he's beetle and things like that, and the costumes were right, and I think everyone who was picked to do the characters, it was right. It fit everyone. There was no one that I thought was cast incorrectly.
I loved, how they, because I hadn't read up about him.
Mm-hmm.
So how it starts with the end, basically, with his last conversation with Liz.
Yeah.
When he's just about to die. and he looks quite crazy and a bit out of his mind. So everything after that, you know, when he's with her, with his daughter, all these happy family moments, they're all like eerie and creepy.
Yeah, always
they have an undertone.
You've got it in the back of your mind. You're like, this dude has like killed so many people.
Yeah, so even if you know nothing about Ted Bundy, the way the movie starts just sets it out.
Mm-hmm.
And you know at the end how Liz remembers every single moment with him.
Mm-hmm.
And like under the bed sheets when he said he was studying, and it was really like,
that's when she realised, but she thought he was just like a good-looking, hard-working guy. She let like him look after her child.
Yeah.
And that is like horrible. Like he stayed with.
You
her
know how
child.
he was cooking in breakfast.
Yeah.
He had a knife in his hand, and when it was like flashbacked, when she just broke down after having talked to him the last time, and she was like remembering all this stuff. He had a knife in his hand, and he hugged her, and her daughter was sitting there.
Yeah.
And she,
anything where children are involved, it really, really messes me up. I don't like it at all.
So how do you think the movie dealt with like respecting the victims and
really
their
well.
stories? Yeah.
Because it barely showed any of it, really. It just like described them. Apart from the one where, you know, like it showed and he was pretending to be like he got like injuries and stuff and he needed help. That was the only one that I think showed it more like closely. But I think they handled it well and they were like respectful with it. They didn't like make it like horrible for like, I mean it probably is horrible for like the families and stuff, but
they didn't make it like gruesome.
It was like understandably telling the facts and like raising awareness for it, but it wasn't like in your face, this is what you did kind of thing.
Also with, you know, at the end how they have a list of all his known victims.
And then
real clips of him.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just like, because it makes it so much more real.
I know, because you're watching it and you're like, oh, that's Zac Efron, like ha, he's like pretending to be a serial killer, and then at the end it's like hits you and it's like, oh my god, that actually happened.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
So some people say that the movie glorifies Ted Bundy, and it's actually banned in some countries because they say that it's a glorification of a murderer. So what do you think?
Yeah, I remember that when it first came out and it was at the Sundance Film Festival. They were like, oh, because Zac Efron's so attractive and everything, it's glorifying him and making him look really like sexualizing him. But no, that's like how he was.
Yeah.
He was seen as really attractive and people were like, oh, I'm really attracted to Ted Bundy. I know what he's done, but I really like him, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was. I think it was showing what it was truly like.
Yeah.
They used a good representative of it, I think, for it.
Yeah. So a bit like talking about Ted Bundy as a person. So there was never actually a conclusive diagnosis made about his precise psychiatric health. But a lot of the evidence point towards something like bipolar disorder or antisocial personality disorder, which, you know, people usually are sociopaths or psychopaths.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading this article about I think it might have been a psychology professor, and he said that I tell my students that if you can ever find me a real life true psychopath, well, by you didn't, like, he was basically saying that they don't exist. But then he said if they do exist, I think Ted Bundy might have been one.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, who can do all that stuff and remain sane, like still sleep at night, still get on with like a normal life, kill that many people? Like, it's not even one person, it's like tens of people. Like, it's too much as well.
I think it's also about him not feeling any guilt, because I was reading I was so into this.
He didn't care.
He had no remorse.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, there's no it was an article with a quote like, guilt doesn't do any good, like there's no benefit of guilt. And I was like, oh my god, how can you not even feel like a morsel of regret? How is that possible?
All those people, and it's not just the people you affect, it's like their families and their friends and people who live near them and people who live near where the people were getting killed. Everyone was just like in constant fear. Like, I remember my dad telling me about it, because my dad was like a teenager when it was all coming out and stuff, and my dad was like, he knew about it, it was all in the news all over the world, and he was like, it was just crazy, like, there was nothing on like that big a scale.
Yeah. I think alongside, you know, Ted Bundy's arc, if you call it that, was his girlfriend. You know, how she started with really trying to believe him, and she tried to keep, you know...
People were giving her evidence and saying, look, this, like, he did it, and she was like,
I just
nope.
felt so sorry for her, though. Because you have to remember, this is a charming guy who she's in a relationship with, committed relationship, and you don't want to believe that someone that you've been intimate with does that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for a long time as well.
Yeah.
Like, a really long time. And like they could have like, I don't know, they could have had children or anything, and they just gladly, like thankfully they didn't, because that would have been like really bad if they'd have had kids. And she'd have to have brought them up on their own and explained where their dad is. Like,
Dad Bundy actually has a kid. He has a daughter.
He has a daughter, but like not with her.
Yeah, not with her.
Yeah.
With the other woman.
Yeah.
It was just the whole time watching the movie, this feeling of constantly like, oh my god,
run away.
Yeah. But I loved how at the end she just came to accept it, and it was really like, you know, her friend, I don't know if they were together at the end, you know, the guy from my work and her daughter.
Yeah.
At the end, and it was just like, because he didn't just affect victims, he affected people in his own life.
You thought that they had disappeared forever, but this is the moment we've all been waiting for. Ladies and gentlemen, the 4 horsemen.
The girl horsemen. Woo! Yeah! Nope.
Damn, it feels good to be back. Hello, hello. Stop. Make it go up.
There's always more than what's on the surface.
The 4 horsemen resurface and are forcibly recruited by a tech genius to pull off the most impossible heist to date. In this movie, they also have a 5th horseman who goes by Lulu, and these dynamics kind of cause a bit of friction. And coming from someone who didn't see the first movie, I actually quite enjoyed it, and it was like a bit like family dynamic almost, and then just starting from bickering and like not being able to work together to doing so. Did you watch the first movie?
Yeah, because I was told to watch the second film for this, so I obviously wanted to watch the first one first. So I watched the first one and really enjoyed it, and watched the second one, but I didn't watch the second one as closely. Like, I haven't got as much to talk about it as I would the first one.
So what do you think about the first one? Because I haven't seen it.
Oh, I thought it was really good. Like, the ending was such a shock. I'm not going to tell you what happened, because I think you should watch it. It was such a shock. Like, everyone, like, going through it, there was, like, suspicions the whole way along, and the magic tricks they were doing were just amazing, and until they were explained, you hadn't got a clue how they did it, sort of thing. It was, like, ridiculous.
So, like, do they explain how the horsemen come to be, and like how they form? Or...
Yeah.
Because it was a bit confusing in the second movie. It was like
they were all like independent magicians, and they all received like a card with a different symbol on it, and told them to go to an address. And then it was like that was when they all like got together and decided to do like shows and stuff and money and go on the run basically. So that was good.
Yeah. What I liked about this movie was, you know, a bit similar to the one we just talked about with Ted Bundy, but it was like they went through the whole movie, and at the end they went back and pointed stuff out that you didn't notice the first time. It was like, that's how magic tricks work.
They're very clever.
Yeah,
like,
very.
The film itself is like a magic trick. Like, you watch it and you don't realise, and at the end you're like, oh my god.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's good.
I loved Lulu. She was hilarious. You know, the girl. Yeah, so funny. And
I think they needed someone funny.
Yeah.
Because it was all a bit like, it was getting a bit serious, I thought. They needed someone to lighten her a bit, and she was good. Especially when, like, they were trying to distract the guy so he could like hypnotise him and talk him into a camera, and they were being chefs and stuff, and I thought that was so funny.
Yeah, that was great. And that was quite funny when they were getting the chip and stuff. And especially when she took off her bra, and
I
it
forgot
was
about
like
that scene. That was the best scene when they went in there and it was all like the metal
I had
detectors.
actually seen that scene on
Instagram.
I'd seen it
before.
and
I'd seen bits of it before.
Yeah, and I was like, ooh, I want to see this.
I want to like be able to throw a card like that and just be like, be really good with it all. It was just amazing. I completely forgot about that. That's maybe one of like the best scenes in like films I've watched. Really like cleverly done. It was really good. It's like one continual long shot as well. Yeah. It was great.
Well, I also like, it was kind of, because the movie's a mixture between like a magic kind of not sci-fi, but a magic movie and kind of a spy movie.
Yeah, like thriller kind of.
Yeah.
It's difficult to like put it into a genre, I think, really.
Yeah.
It's different. You don't really see any other movies like it.
Yeah. I really want to see the first one. Is the first one where the woman's in the tank and she tries to get out?
Yeah.
Because I've seen that scene as well, and
the
apparently
ginger woman. She's like the main one of the horsemen in that.
Oh, okay.
She's like one of them, and then she leaves for the second one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, anything else to end this?
For the first one to the second one.
Yeah, I loved the first one. The Ted Bundy movie. It was rooted so much in reality, and it just like Now You See Me Too. That was like a fun movie to watch.
Yeah, it was easy to watch. You could just go along with it and watch.
But the first movie was like heavy and meaningful, and
and it's good to watch films like that sometimes. And I think it's good. It's informative. It's like rather than watching a documentary. Because it's like a dramatisation of it. You're still getting the facts and understanding what happened, but it's not in such like a heavy hero pictures of the victims kind of way sort of thing.
So do you have like a movie which might be similar to these?
I think the Kingsman movie.
Yeah.
Like it's one of my favourite films. And the second one even. They're both really good. If you watch them like close to each other. They're like ridiculous. Like nothing like that would ever happen. But they're really, really well made. Yeah. As well as that, I'm like a huge action film fan and like a Marvel fan, and it kind of it's like that, but it's slightly like separated from the whole superhero things. It's like more real life than like someone flying around in the sky.
So for me, if someone's looking for a movie similar to the Ted Bundy one, Pearl Harbor. It's not a crime movie, but it is a war movie, and it's like based in history and in real events. And it really packs a punch. It did make me cry a bit.
I've heard of it, but I've never watched it.
It's really good.
I'll watch it.
Really good.
Christmas.
And it's the same thing as with the Ted Bundy movies, because it's rooted in reality. It's closer to home.
Yeah.
We've never experienced a war like the First World War or Second World War, but you still like about it.
You know it's real, and you know it happened, but you can never like know the experience of what happened to those people.
Exactly.
Like war films are always really hard hitting.
Thank you for listening.